This is a video review of the Armor Up Baymax figure from Big Hero 6. I've reviewed two other Baymax figures at the time of this recording. A little 4-inch figure that was just awful, not recommended for anyone, even though kids would probably still like it. And then there was the other one I did, which was the Deluxe Flying Baymax, which was pretty good. I mean, kids would certainly love it, and for good reason, but didn't really strike me as a figure that collectors would like. This figure, on the other hand, I think collectors actually enjoy quite a bit, and kids would probably like it too, although it's a bit more of a toy for older kids than the other two were, because this one actually has some kind of transformation and armor building stuff to it, because you get Baymax and you put on his armor. Now, Baymax himself, in this sort of pillowy form, in general, I just really love this design, Baymax's pillowy form. It's just so interesting and kind of adorable. I mean, I hate to say that for a robot that's supposed to be awesome, but he does look kind of adorable. And it is, for the most part, faithfully replicated here, except for these gaps in his arms, which they exist for the transformation, and I wish that he didn't have to have these gaps there, but it's not too big of a deal. I've seen worse on Transformers. Now anyway, for posability, the head will rotate around 360, the arms go around 360 like this, and move in and out, and unfortunately you don't get an elbow. That is one of the problems of this figure, is that he's kind of posable in this mode, but when you put all of his armor on, he just loses a lot of posability. He has a little bit, but he turns into a brick, but we'll see more of that later. Then his legs down here, they can move in and out like this, and forward and back. Now the problem is, if you move him too far, you'll start pulling these shell parts away from the body, and that kind of breaks his sculpt a little bit. And the other problem with his legs is that he has a posability, but he can't really use it, because to stand, both of these feet down here have to be flat, and he only has the hip joints. So to make him stand, you basically have to move the feet into the same position, and the only thing you can really affect is his posture, how far forward and back he's leaning. Otherwise, any poses that you want to put him in, like I'm kicking, are just poses that you would enjoy in your hand, not poses where you could just plop him down and he wouldn't fall over, which is a bit unfortunate. But luckily, posability isn't really the main draw of this figure, so as unfortunate as it is that it doesn't have great posability, it's not the end of the world. Now, start off with the armoring up this guy is actually really neat, because you're not just going to start like taking like his cuirass and just slap it on. No, you actually need to transform this guy a little bit. So to do this, you're going to pull his arms out like this. Then you want to take the shells, the front and the back shells, and rotate them around 180 like this. So ultimately, he ends up sucking up his gut, like there's an attractive lady robot walking by and he wants to look super buff. Hey baby, how you doing? Anyway, so you do this, and then you can start putting his armor on. So we're going to start by attaching his cuirass. So we'll take this, and it's not really clipped together, it's just pegged together, but there are a lot of pegs, and it can take a bit of doing to pull it apart and putting it back together. So to start this off, we're going to take the back of the cuirass, we're going to put his body into it, and then we're going to close this around it like that. And now we're starting to see where the Armored Up Baymax proportions really come from, and just as you start putting armor on this guy, it's just super neat seeing this kind of dumpy little adorable little white pillow robot turn into a man machine. So anyway, then you'll take one of the legs. This is his right leg, and the way this attaches is whenever I put it on, it will kind of grab around the leg here, so it will just kind of attach like this. Not very well, but it will. But what you're ultimately trying to do is there's this clip right here, which is going to clip around the stem that his leg is on. So we're going to just put it on like this, and it'll clip into place. And do it to the second leg, and this is actually a really sturdy connection here. So anyway, we're starting to build up our Baymax. Next, we need to put on the arms, and the arms are interesting because they come in 4 pieces, but you're only going to deal with 3 pieces. Fourth piece is this, which you could even glue it onto the arm and you'd be fine. But anyway, you will. In fact, there is a reason to glue it onto the arm. What you're going to do is you're going to split this down like that, so you get the outside of the arm, the inside of the arm, and the fist. Now, to put the arm on, you're going to want to take the inside, and you're going to want to basically shove it up into his armpit like that to make sure that it gets proper clearance over this lip of the cuirass. They're going to take this, put it onto the side, and clip it together, well, peg it together, And then the way the hand goes in is that there are clips here and here that will just kind of wedge in here like that. And there we go. That's one arm. Now we're going to put on the other arm. Same basic process here. So break this open, pull out the fist, shove it into his armpit, put this on. And if this looks kind of awkward to do, that's just because I have the camera in front of me. I mean, it's not the most comfortable thing in the world to do, to hold all these pieces together, but the camera does make it a lot worse. Then we'll put this in, and next what we want to do is we want to put on the wings. Now the wings are really simple. You just put them in like this. And then after we put these on, the last thing we'll want to do is put on his helmet. And his helmet is actually probably the one thing I don't really like about this mode. So you put this down, and for the most part, I actually really like the way this guy looks. Especially compared to what he looked like beforehand when he was just his pillow form. But the head just looks kind of gummy, and it doesn't really look like it's Baymax looking through. It just looks like he has a face painted onto it. So, it's not too bad. It's not the end of the world. I just wish that the helmet looked more like this head was looking through it than like it's an entirely different head. But other than that, this thing looks great. I love the way this looks. It's the general Baymax look, but just you get this from the tiny pillowy figure, and that's what really strikes me about this. That's what really makes this fun, and something that I think collectors would really like too, as well as kids, because kids are going to love this thing no matter what. It's cool. But collectors will like it too, because, well, it's interesting. That ultimately, I think collectors like interesting things. At least collectors like me, we like interesting things. So this so far is my favorite of the Baymax figures I've touched so far, and I don't really see anything that could top it right now. Anyway, for posability, the arms can rotate around 360 like this, unless they bump into the wings. Now, one thing is, it's not really comfortable to rotate the arms like this, because when you do it, sometimes you'll see some of the flexing of the plastic here kind of push the arm halves apart, and that kind of sucks. Like here, you just saw that happen right there. But other than that, the arms are fine. They can rotate around 360. They don't really go in and out that much, just because they some of this stuff will go under a lip on the cuirass. Let's see, the head can rotate around 360. You kind of run into a similar problem here where turning the head will make the mask kind of fall off of the head. It's not the most secure connection. And boy, I'm making this toy sound awful right now, aren't I? Well, ultimately, it's because I don't really care about the posability of this figure. I just care about basically the transformation gimmick. The wings can move up and down like this, and the legs can shuffle back and forward like this, and that's about it. So, basically, it's the transformation gimmick that you get where you have pillowy Baymax and armored Baymax is why you buy this figure, and that alone is really good. And the prices I've seen for this on eBay have gone from between 20 to 30 as far as what I would consider a fair price. I see those fairly often on eBay right now, so my assumption is that at retail it's going to be somewhere between $15 to $30, because very rarely will eBay be less or equal to retail. But that's just my speculation. I have not actually seen this in stores I got on eBay, so I don't know how much it'll actually be retailing for. So for about 20 bucks, I'd say this guy's definitely worthwhile. Anyway, I review Power Rangers, Digimon, Transformers, Tobots, lots of stuff like that. If any of that sounds interesting, please subscribe, and thank you for watching. Have a nice day.